There's one more another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Spurs drawing 2-2 at home versus Manchester City in a game that was just weird. It's odd. I don't think it really taught us a lot in a weird way. So we're going to talk about the game. I think there's some really interesting things to come out of this game. And yeah, we're going to get into it really. A game of two halves, I think, is absolutely the way to go about this. I mean, the fact that Spurs 2-0 at home, down at half time, Cherky obviously scoring 11th minute, Semenyo just before half time. We were, it was a training ground exercise. Spurs weren't in the game. We looked like, how like they practice free kicks. You got the mannequin walls. We just looked like that. We were passengers in this game. And there wasn't really any bright sparks. I thought the formation was working just awfully. And then half-time came. And obviously, some decisions had to be made at half-time. I think, in all fairness, Romero going off, I think potentially... I'm interested to see if there's an injury angle here, but it did feel a bit different. It felt a bit like something wasn't right. Not in terms of the player, in terms of like his quality. It's not like a young player that he struggled, get him at half time, it happens sort of thing. It was more something I think could have happened behind closed doors at half time. And obviously Pape came back because his foot really, it was always good to see Pape. But Spurs scoring in the 53rd minute, really the two best players on the pitch for us in Solanke and Simmons. And, in reality, Simmons was probably the only one in the first half where you thought, I don't think anyone's going to walk off with any, credit in the bank, but he could walk off and say, yeah, but I'm trying things. I'm trying to get on the ball. I'm trying to be a menace to their team. So, obviously that being the case, these two were the only two guys, really. There was a few others I thought had good performances, like Gray, Doggy, and I've always said all along, I think Jesse Doggy is one of the best left backs in the league. I think today was another example of that he is not 100%. You can tell he is by far our best left back. It isn't even close, and we are a much better team when Destiny is playing. I thought Destiny was really good in the second half as well. And then came some more substitutions. The French youngsters came on, and again, Audebert looked lively, looked dangerous. Get on the ball, run at the defence. Doesn't mean it's always going to work, but get on the ball, run at the defence every single time. There was no effort. There was no energy to play backwards. There was no energy to, I'll get it the ball. I'm just going to recycle it back to Doggy or recycle it back to Archie Gray, who I thought, again, by the way, thought was good in the second half. Same with Gallagher. Both very solid in the second half. And, look, I will say this, 12 players out. It isn't a Frank thing. It was never an Ange thing. Conte dealt with these injuries. Mourinho dealt with injuries. The medical team, it isn't very good. It feels like Frank has been left to sort of hung out to dry a little bit. 12 players out injured. There's no chance of business going on. There's more news about players leaving than there are players coming in. And, normally what will happen is he'll get sacked maybe by the end of February and they'll go, well, we didn't spend because we weren't sure he was going to be here or not. And we don't want to set the next manager up for this. And that's how they do it in football. It's saving money, cutting costs in theory that, you can then use that excuse. It's common old excuses. Anyway, and then the second goal was, in reality, it was all Gallagher and Solanke. Gallagher wins the ball in a high press, looks up, puts a solid ball. I think, it could have been a bit better, but let's not nitpick here. Puts in a solid ball, and it's a scorpion kick looping over Donnarumma, which, if you don't know who Donnarumma is, he's about 6'7", something like that. So, overall, 2-2, isn't it so typical? It doesn't matter how crap Spurs are. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter how great Man City are. You can always bank on the fact that Spurs are going to get a result somewhere along the line against them, which makes no sense. Nobody on earth can explain to me why on earth we are their kryptonite. It doesn't make any sense. I still can't work my head around it. It's been years. It's been decades even. So we go now onwards and upwards. They've got to start building on these things, but also not only that. We've got to do something in this market, surely. I mean, there's still talk about Colomwani leaving to Juventus and that, but we've got to be doing something because 12 players are injured right now. Danso out injured. We don't know about Romero. Maybe Romero gets injured in the first half. We don't know. But Mickey's out injured. You've got Dragic, who's just come out from an ACL injury. He's only been back a few weeks from an ACL injury. It's a long-term injury. He needs time still. Pedro Porro's out for about a month. Spence is out injured. You've got no right-backs. Archie Gray's now playing right-back again. We're 1 or 2 injuries away from me playing left-back. Just saying. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below on the game, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Take care. Peace.